Okay. It says excellent. Am I actually here? All right. I am here. Hope everyone had a happy holiday, Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever. Everything, anything, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, whenever you celebrate it. This is just some hot green tea for the working man. It's a blend from Many Worlds Tavern. Been a while since I've tapped into it, but I'm giving it, I don't know, I was in the mood. So I'm giving it a go. Apologies for any slurping, especially when it's hot. Okay. This came up on the Discord. Someone, a really enterprising, I think they're a teenager. So, an enterprising work by a Ute in the hobby, a youth, wanting to run the Isle of Dread for a bunch of other teens. And one of the things that we had a couple different questions and back and forths, and they've since started running the adventure. I think they're doing a good job. They're right up. They posted on. I'll try to find the Reddit link. They posted there right up with their first couple of things. First session, and of course, being that they're young, they got to run a nice long session as opposed to the 2 to 2.5 hour sessions that I tend to get to do. Hey, Croco. In any event, one of the conversations, something came up about the Isle of Dread, being that it's bare. There's not a lot of keyed hexes, and as I've mentioned off and on, in several places, and in fact, I posted it's to Patreon and for channel members. I'll probably do more with it, polish it up. It'll turn out somewhere. I didn't put together a little procedure. I did share it on the Discord. If you're on the Discord, a little procedure for describing hexes, because it is a challenge when we're looking at something like the Isle of Dread. Let me zoom in here because we're going to pick a region. Well, I already picked one. We're going to pick one, but we'll go into it. And I probably won't maybe have a chance to key the whole region, but I thought we'd do this one. So if you notice here, these are all 6 mile hexes, and you've got, let's see, this. Okay, so I guess let me go over through. What I did last night, I did this just for fun. I went and I just color coded the Isle of Dread hex map. I color coded it. And the reason why I color coded it is I wanted to kind of, I like splitting things up into regions or some kind of areas that which we can say, we can characterize these regions in some way that basically we can share the load of figuring out every little hex. If we, and this is something that we do in real life. If you think about it, maybe you have a forest or you live near a mountain range, and we give them names and we kind of give them some kind of borders. Maybe it's a hard border, maybe it's a soft border. And we can look at those areas once you define them. You know, the Himalayas or Himalaya. I would say Himalayas, but I've heard people say Himalayas. Maybe Himalaya is more proper. I'm not sure. Himalayas, or you say the Amazon rainforest. It's a big swath of area. And we say, okay, and then we can say things about that area. Once we define it and say, hey, this is the Amazon rainforest. We say, great. Then we can think about what things live in the Amazon rainforest and what kind of plants they have there and what kind of terrain is generally there, all that sort. And then once we've done that, if we need to put a party in somewhere in the Amazon rainforest, then we can draw on all these commonalities we've made because we've created this region. Hey, we got this thing we call the Amazon rainforest. Great. Now we can categorize stuff, put stuff in boxes, and then we can use those boxes to help us. But oftentimes, especially when you're looking at a map like this, it's not of a giant area. So if you're getting a map of Mystara, yeah, they'll give names to things because everyone wants to give names to stuff, right? Oh, it's over here, it's over here. But these regions cover vast areas, so not super helpful if you go, this is North America. Well, that's great, but it doesn't really tell me, too much stuff in there. But you could really break down any size into some smaller sizes. And the first thing I like to do is look at it on the basis of terrain. So what I did was I color-coded these swaths of terrain in the Isle of Dread so you just see them more clearly. I mean, obviously the symbols are the symbols, but I just think coloring them, giving them a color, you can kind of see very clearly. We've got these kind of broken lands. We've got this, and I was gonna try to color code them all with unique colors, and I quickly gave up that idea. That's why you see this forest is a different green than this one. But the idea really is that I'm not meaning to even, you could do this in many different ways. What I'm talking about is actually looking at each one of these as their own kind of separate thing, more or less. They'll start from the same template, but then we can differ them. So we don't have to look at it. We could start off with, hey, what do all the jungles on the Isle of Dread have in common? and then break it out from there. I think that more or less, well, we could do that too. More or less, they've done that in a certain way for you. But what I was going to do is say, okay, well, we're going to just concern ourselves with one of these at a time. And just one of these little regions, Isle of Dread, because the Isle of Dread's not, I mean, really, it's not, I don't know what the size-wise it is, but each one of these being 6-mile hexes, it's not that small place. There's 30-somewhat square miles in each one of these hexes, and there's a bunch of them. You know, I'm not even going to count them. There's a lot. So you have something like the Isle of Dread. So the exercise, I guess the thing is, you have this thing, you've got the Isle of Dread, you have it. Croco says a big island. Yeah, it's a fairly big island. I mean, I don't know where it ranks compared to other islands, but it's certainly not Gilligan's Island, though. Did they ever determine how big Gilligan's Island was? I don't know. Maybe Gilligan's Island is larger than we think. I don't know. But you notice, something I just noticed as I was filling this in is that, interestingly enough, almost all these little regions you get have some encounter area attached to it. There is a keyed location in just about all of them. This part of jungle down here doesn't. There's an ocean spot that's keyed. I circled them all, but you know, this area of Broken Lands and a couple of volcanoes has an encounter. These hills here have 2 encounter areas, or keyed. I guess we call them keyed locations. This jungle here, we have a keyed location over here. We've got a keyed location for this area. We've got a keyed location for this kind of swampy and lake region. We have multiple keyed locations in this really large mountainous. You know, I would probably look at this as one mountains, but if you wanted to, you could split them up. In any case, we have keyed locations there. This area of jungle over here has a keyed location, so you can kind of see whether they did it purposefully or not. I have no idea what their thought process was. Each one of these locations kind of has at least one spot that's keyed for the most part. Like I said, there's a couple. I mean, I'm not even counting the little islands. There's a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, you know, the swamp area, everything's got kind of keys. And here's that central. I kept this as one thing that kind of, I don't know. I think this valley. I don't know if this underground or it's a valley. I don't remember. I didn't bother looking it up. But I just made this all purple for the sort of the caldera and associated areas. That has a keyed location. Of course, it's got there's a whole settlement kind of thing going on there, and a little dungeon. And then these hills have another keyed location. So basically, what I'm suggesting is if you're running something like in the Isle of Dread or any kind of large hex map or a hex map of your own making, and you got a lot of area, and you're thinking about, okay, I don't want to come up with this on my own. I don't want to do this. I don't want to improvise what's going on in these hexes. We can do some things about that. Now, the Isle of Dread actually gives us a couple of tools we can use. I have it. I'm sorry, these windows are kind of all over the place. But in the Isle of Dread, where might I get to it? They give us a couple of tables of wandering creatures we can use they're divided up kind of they segment the island into 3 parts, and each one of those parts has a different wandering table. And I'm trying to remember where it is. So here's the actual text. Let's see. Depending on where okay, hold on a minute. Once amount. Okay, blah blah blah. Depending on where the party is on the Isle of Dread. Okay, so table 1 is used for the southern. I don't know why my camera went off. My camera went off. What is going on with my camera? Come on. Well, sorry, my camera. There we go. I'm back, but I'm off. I hate camera. No camera monkeying. No, all wrong way. There we go. Okay. Just need to adjust this over, more or less. Stupid. I have a new webcam and it's great, but it's got one of those little gimbals and it wants to do things. I got to figure out how to set it up properly. Okay, I think that's fine. So anyway, we've got these tables, and let's see, we're going to be working on area 10, or maybe I should do a 14. You know, 14's small. Let's do 14. So we have a couple things we can use. So we have these wandering creature tables. Let's see. Wandering table 1 should be used on the southern peninsula south of the Great Wall. So this is the southern peninsula. Where's the Great? So I think that area is the Great Wall that they put up. So that wandering creature table 1 is for this area here. So this is probably, maybe even we call this 2 regions because it has its own table. Oh my gosh, ObSpot, what are you doing? Resume. I don't know why it keeps wanting to go to sleep on me. Okay. So we got that. Now, that doesn't concern us because we're not using that. Wandering Monster Table 2 is the main island south of the Central River, including the swamp on the southwestern islands. So south of the, so they're talking the Central River south. So I guess, I don't know, would I call that south? I'm going to call it that. I think they mean that. It's really more of a, where's north? Where's the, is there a star? Do we have a key? If it's just, I'm guessing top is north. So I'm going to say that this part counts. Which one's 3 is used north of the Central River and on the northern islands? Okay, yeah. So I'm going to say this is part of the south. It is technically south of the river, right? South. So we need to be, so the 2 things we want to use as our references for this, what we want to use is we're going to use the Wandering Monster Table 2, and then we're going to use this keyed location, whatever this keyed location is here. We'll go check that out in a minute. So let me see if, just for ease of use, I can copy paste. Can I at least, let me see, maybe I can get just, I just want to get the, can I get just the, oh, I can. Yeah, let's see. All right, so I'm going to copy here. All right, so we're doing, I don't know what to call it, but we'll call it something anyhow. So we're Creatures of the Jungle Zone. Yeah, we're just going to call it Jungle Zone. We're going to call it Jungle Zone for right now, right? Jungle Zone's good. Jungle Zone works. All right. And then we can make a list. Check it twice. Yeah, that's Aranea, Cave Bears, Centaur. I know there's a way to do that where I can copy paste it and it'll go vertically in so I can get the actual number. Oh, what is it? Is it, shoot, I don't recall. I'm just going to have to just, so we'll just use this as a list. So right now we've got Aranea, which are those spiders. These, they're spell casting spiders that are a new creature, which are pretty cool. And then we have, let's see, cave bears, centaurs, cyclops, direwolves, black dragons, green dragons, red dragons, dryads, elk, giant, I don't even remember what this, Grangeri, hydras, lizardmen, mastodons, megatheriums, Neanderthals, phanetons. Those are those flying, they're kind of like flying monkey, right? They're the monkey ones that live in the trees. I gotta get all my things straight here. Rakasta of the, they're like rock, which was Rakshasa. They're basically, they're, the cat-like humanoids, but their thumbs are inverted, and they're of a, and plus saber-tooth tigers, rock baboons, saber-tooth tiger, Titanothere, trance, trolls, wyverns, and zombies. So there's a ton of different stuff in here. So we have a lot. We got a lot of stuff to play with, right? So let's go to 14, which I think, if we look that up, I believe that's going to be the Aranea encampment. Let me just see. So I don't remember if there are numbers on here or not. Anyway, so we'll go 14. So just going through, and we're going to, obviously, spoilers for the Isle of Dread, if it matters, right? So, probably a little bit. Yeah, phanetons are these guys, these flying monkey things. I think they have their psionic, is that, if I'm remembering correctly? There are the, as they're calling here, Rakastas. And then the Aranea are these giant spiders that are also they can cast spells. So 14 is indeed the Aranea layer. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing Aranea, I don't know. The Aranea are a race of highly intelligent magic-using arachnids who live in webs strung between trees. They look like huge greenish-brown spiders about the size of a small pony, with a massive odd-shaped lump on the back of their heads. That would be that bit right there. Okay, the house is a large brain. The webs are about 40 feet above the jungle floor. These layers cannot be seen unless one climbs above the first layer of leaf growth, about 20 to 30 feet above the ground. Each aranea has a separate layer, but the walls are close enough together so that the aranea can jump from one to another with ease. Part of the webs are roofed over with waterproof mixture of leaves, bark, twigs, and web strands. This section of forest is inhabited by these aranea. Each has its own layer. The webbed over sections of their layers resemble caves. These are filled with many pieces of crude furniture made out of wood, vines, and webbed in place on the floor. These include storage chests, libraries used for spell research. Aranea treasure is usually woven into the roofs of their layers for safekeeping. And then we get, I'm not particularly interested in the layout, but we can see here. So these are they're obviously they're smart. They've got a lot of stuff. They got settlement, and their main settlement is 14. But they're also coming in, but obviously they're also in the wandering creature list. So what we can do is we've got, let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm including the short ones too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 67. So we have 18 hexes. All right, so, and I think I'm just going to do, 1.1. I don't know how I'm going to number it. I guess 1. We count in vertical slices. We've got what? There's 1, 2, there's 4. So I guess we would do 1.3. Right? Would that be right? I'll call it 1-3. And then we'd have that be, I'm not exactly sure how to number them. I don't know. I'm just going to number them. We'll just go in order. I'll have to number them later. But we're just going to go kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. We'll just do like that. And then, folks, we can figure it out. But we're doing a zigzag like this way. So this is the first one that will come up top to here, do like that. So we already know what we know what's in. This would be, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. We already know what's in 5. That's the aranea layer. That's the main settlement. So I'm just going to put that in there. Oops, aranea settlement. Okay. So the next thing we're going to need for this to work is some kind of hex-fill formula. In other words, what exactly is in here, or what are we kind of looking at? So we have to have. Now, I'm a pretty firm believer in not every hex has to have something in it, and I guess it's not like the empty room. It's kind of like this is the same kind of thing I think you get into with the empty rooms in the dungeon. It's not necessarily that it's empty, like it's bare and there's just nothing in, not even a mote of dust, but that there's nothing of particular interest or notice in it. You're in a swath of jungle and there's nothing particular about it other than that you're in the jungle. There's not something special. Now, some people believe that there ought to be, every stretch should have something unique in it. And so you can figure out where you stand on that. I mean, honestly, I don't really care too much. It's all about your kind of ease of use. Now, I tend to look at it and think that it should be kind of environment based or terrain based, because I think some terrains, part of the challenge is that there is nothing, you don't have everything different. Like when you're maneuvering, you're navigating across somewhere, if every hex has something unique in it, then that makes navigation kind of easy. Whereas if in some locations, I think part of the challenge is that you can get turned around so easily because there isn't a unique something, that you're in this patch of forest or jungle and you're like, my goodness, I don't know. I can't differentiate between this thing and the next thing. Now, keeping in mind also, these are 6 mile hexes. So maybe for 6 mile hexes, you think, look, in 30 square miles, there's going to be something kind of unique. So I can definitely buy that argument. I like 3 mile hexes. And I think the smaller your hexes go, the more that maybe not only it's almost more necessary to have empty hexes, because if I were to make this Isle of Dread map into a 3 hex mile map, then each one of these would blow up to at least, 2 hex each, in terms of hex representation, each one of these 6 mile hexes would turn into 2 or more 3 mile hexes. So you have to consider that also. So, you know, and if you're doing 30-mile hexes, then the size of that almost mandates, yeah, like there's, unless it's really empty, like a desert or the deep ocean or something, then you probably would want to have some of that. But that's the other thing, right? If you're in the middle of the ocean and you're using hexes, then there probably wouldn't be anything there. So different approaches, different philosophies, you know, use what, it doesn't matter. It's all about what works for you. Quaco says 1 village each hex or something like that. Yes, according to realism, right? That's why I like the 3-mile hexes, because then if I put yes, it's like 1 settlement per hex. And a 6-mile hex, you can have multiple settlements per hex, which is totally doable, but it just means that you have more information in a particular hex. And I like, especially when you're mapping it and you want to do these kind of abstract maps where I can just put a circle and know that has 1 settlement and I'm not worried about it. And then I feel like it just makes the 6-mile hex can kind of make it seem a little bit like everything's kind of more spread out than but it really all depends on what you want. So, you know, do what you want. Do what you want. Don't let me or anybody else tell you what to do. Figure out what works for you. What I was going to say is, okay, so we need a hex filling protocol. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow basics, and I'm not the first one to have done this. Lots of people have done this before, but it's kind of useful, especially in the moment like this. When you're doing dungeon fills, you may have seen it in expert, or sorry, is it expert? No, I think it's in basic. In basic, there's a little table that gives you basically, is there a monster, or is it a trap, or is it empty? And so you can roll to see whether you have something in it or nothing's in it, whatever. So I'm going to kind of amend this table because I think it's kind of a pretty good table. Whoops. So I'm going to have a roll, or I'll just call it 1d6. And then I want to have, and then we can do, right. So then the second roll is treasure. So we have 1 as a result. And then, hold on a minute. Let's just do this simple one. I can come back to it. So we've got, did I forget something? No, I think that's good. So we've got, okay, 1 to 2 is a creature. 3 is a trap. 4 is, we can keep special. Special. Oh, you know what? I am forgetting something. Yep, I'm totally forgetting the little pips. It's been a minute since I've been using my markdown tables. Do I need to do pip at the end? I can't remember. I'll go ahead and do it. I'm going to add more to this anyway. So, all right, 1, 2. Three, trap. And then 4 is special. Okay. And then 5 to 6 is empty. Oops. And then now before here was resources. Right? It would say resources. I'm just going to do well, here we do this. So we have creature. I know this is going to seem kind of complicated, but trust me, it's going to be all right. So we have creature, we've got trap, and we have empty. I'm gonna rename trap hazard. We're not in a dungeon. I mean, it could be a trap, you know. Well, there's maybe a creature delay trap, but we want to be broader than that. We want to be broader than that, so we'll call it hazard. Okay. Okay. All right, and so I'm gonna say, so basically on 3 out of the 4, if there's a creature, there's also a resource. So I'll put resource. If I can spell it correctly. Oops. nothing. Nothing. And then on the hazard, it's true on 2 of them. Oops. Oops. Apologies for my... Okay. And then on empty, only 1 of them. And then the rest are nothings. So now we got that. And then I will just... There's actually a shortcut key I know to do this in one of the plugins I have, but I can't recall it, and I don't feel like stopping to look it up. So that's where I'm at. Croco says, hazmat hazard. Yeah, it could be. Could be. Right? So here's our we're going to use, right? So we're going to say, okay, we're going to roll. Notice there's a 33% chance that there's a creature in it. There's a 33% chance it's empty. And then there's basically a 16.666667 whatever chance of there either being a hazard or something special. Now, I think I'm going to change. Let's change this up slightly. All right, I'm going to change this up. So essentially, what I'm saying is that on one of these, if you get a creature, you might actually get a hazard and a resource. And then I'm going to change that also for, actually for this one, we're going to just add a little bit more. All right, we're just adding a little bit more variability. And we're not going to change it for the other ones. Oops, I guess I need a couple more. I don't care about that. So a little more variation. So we have some different ways of getting some different kinds of results. We got our creatures. We got our critters. Hey, Mr. General. There'd be treasure in those hills if you're brave enough. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we got our creatures. And I don't know why I copy and pasted them, I guess, just to look at them. We got, there's a lot, right? So now we can roll. And then we can also do the rolling. What I'm probably going to do is... what I'll also do is I'm just going to do a kind of an is layer check. So, right. Let's just do this. I'm just putting it out here so we have it. I think for the most part, we want it to be less likely there's a layer than not. So I think I'm just going to have 1 to 4. No. 5 to 6. Yes. All right. So we got an easy. I don't want to, and the reason why I'm doing it this way is we could call it Layer Island. We could. The reason why I want to do it this way is I know I could go and I could look it up, and if you're using AD&D, they've got all that percentage, or in whatever book. I don't want to have to flip back and forth between a bunch of different sources, and frankly, I don't care. If you want to get super into the weeds and go find the exact things that from BX or whatever your source is good and get those numbers, you are welcome to do it. Why did I suddenly? But not for me. So I'm just going with what I think will be good. So we'll get some layers. I mean, you can even make it a 1 in 6 chance. Yeah, I know. I think Croco said my camera zoomed. Yeah, I know. I don't know what I have. Like I said, I have a new webcam, and I'm still trying to play around with the settings. But sometimes it seems to have a mind of its own. I'm not sure exactly why. Okay. Now we can do some work. So we're just going to start with number 1. And we will roll. Well, let's roll to see what's in there. So I got a couple of D6s. So I'm going to roll. I got 2 and 5. So 2, there's a creature. And then 5 means it's just a creature. So area 1. And now we can roll for our creature, which is why I need that table. So you could scroll back. Oh, you know what's special? Hold on, I'm going to change. Sorry, I'm not going to use special. I mean, it could be special. I'm going to use structure. And structure can be basically anything, like a trace, a track. I guess structure is maybe not the right word, but that's what I'm going to go with for right now. Some kind of thing, because we're going to potentially need stuff or want stuff like that. Could be a monument, could be a bunch of stuff. If we get a bunch of those, we can roll those up. So sorry, I got 2 and 5. So there's 2, there's a creature. 5, there's nothing. Okay, is it the creature's lair? So now I'll roll. I got this white die. I'll roll that die. Is it the creature's lair? 3 says no, so it's not the creature's lair. But now I need to roll a D100. So let me get some more dice. And of course, you don't have to. You definitely don't have to use the random dice. I would say it probably is even superior if you have an idea to just go with it. If you have some context, you have something in mind, just use it. But I don't have anything in mind, so nothing is calling out to me. Yeah, ruins, kind of anything like that. All right, so I have a green and a blue die. I'll call the blue the tens die. So I got 54, which means there's a Megatherium. Now the camera's gone again. Oh my god, what is going on with this camera? Sorry about that. My goodness. It is. I don't have it on auto sleep. I have it on literally like not to sleep. Oh, this camera. On the one hand, it's super cool, but man, it's going to drive me nuts. So thank you, Croco. Let me know if any other weirdness happens. Okay. We got a Megatherium, which I think is a big... Where do they have the new monsters? I think the Megatherium... I can't remember what it is. Where are we going? It's... LMNO. Megatherium is a giant ground sloth. Okay. All right, so first I'm just going to put these general keys. Then, yes, Croco's got it. It is a giant ground sloth. I'm just going to put these kind of contents in here. If we have time, we can kind of flesh them out. That's kind of step 2, right? But the first step is just to kind of get a sense of what it is. So that's number 1. All right, so good, we're done. Now we can go to number 2. Whoops. 2, and let's roll some dice again. All right, I got 6. Wow, 6, 6, 1. So 6, empty. Obviously, if it's empty, 6. No, there's nothing in there, and it would have been a lair, but would not have been a lair. So there's literally nothing here at all. Now, if we want to put something in here, just in terms of, hey, look, right, it's not an empty space. We didn't walk into a void. We're in this kind of jungle. We can try to think about, well, what's inside this place, right? What's here? Well, you can look at. I mean, there's all kinds of different tools we can use. I actually don't have my document that I wrote up. Where's my phone? Did I bring my phone out here? Nope, my phone's not even here. I don't have my doc that I literally put out to Patreon and stuff yesterday. Actually, hold on? I might be able to dig it out of. Let me see. Actually, I posted it. You know what? I put it on. I can download it from the Discord because I did it on my phone and on my iPad. I didn't do it on. Let's see. Where did I put it? Here it is. Okay. Yep. All right. Thank you for doing that. To pop up a whole window. Oops. Downloads. Okay. Here we go. So we'll do the theme later. So in that document, which I guess is as good a time as any to kind of go through over, I talk about doing a few things, right? Coming up with a theme or vibe, atmosphere, terrain, a locale feature, and then sensations. This is for describing, but you can use it for filling also. We'll talk about theme and stuff in a minute. So we could roll, see if we got some things going on. Now, here you notice I have some creatures in this list, but this is more about stuff that isn't really, it's not really an adventuring opportunity. It's like, oh, there's some deer, which I suppose could be an adventuring opportunity, but I mean it for that kind of stuff, not for, oh my gosh, there's a pack of somebody trying to kill you. It's kind of, they're doing their thing, that kind of thing. So it's more, in this case, it's more kind of, well, they're there, but they're not directly involved, unless of course you make it an issue, in which case maybe they will do something. In any case, we can roll to see if there's any. So I got 1, which means we have some shrubs. All right, so we've got we enter a sort of an open, you know, I don't know, a glade. What would be a glade of shrubs? A field of shrub field, a shrubbery, sure, a shrubbery, as I put there. A shrubbery, and then are there any structures? Well, we have structures on our list. We won't do that. I don't have any enigmas. Did I not put? Oh, I guess I meant to put enigmas and I didn't roll for that. I'll have to fix that. Yeah, we could do some. Oh, no wonder it's doing it. That's why. Okay, I knew there was some other stuff here. So we've got. Oh, you know, I didn't roll for. I'm doing this out of order. Let me roll for what features here. I got number 1, so I got actually, so it's a water feature. So instead of it being a shrubbery, it is actually a stream. All right. A river runs through it. So this could be good. So we got a stream. And I don't know if we want to look at what direct, you know, you want to roll dice for which stream direction it's going. You know, it's probably, you know, we're here. It makes a lot of sense that it would be, you know, this is where, you know, context, right? I could roll for stream direction, but obviously we have all these mountains here. So if I need to, and I don't even think you really need to, but if you wanted to, I would definitely say it's going from, you know, probably, let's just say south or, you know, west or southwest to the northeast, right? Running west, southwest to northeast. Okay. And maybe that's, and it's a nice, and I suppose it's nice detail, but this stream might make its way to the shore. So if the party was lost and they ended up in this hex and they were just trying to get to they knew they're near the coast, but they kind of directionally lost, they could follow that stream. And the stream will lead down, lead that way, lead towards the shore. So that's kind of a nice thing. Okay, so there we go. Number 2 is done. Number 3, let's roll again. We've got, okay, let's come up here. Yeah, we'll roll our 3d6. I got 3, 4, 4. So 3, there's a hazard. 4, there's nothing else. We don't have to worry about the lair. So there's a hazard. So what kind of hazard could we come? Now, you know, this is where we can, you can get very, you can get as, you know, when you want to keep it real, you can go magic. It could be, you know, we have the, so we have these Aranea here, right? These spiders. I don't know if it says how they, I don't think we get a sense of how they feed or anything, do they? Well, let's see if it says. Oh, and by the way, the Grangery cross between a giant hornless rhino and a giraffe. All right, so it's a giraffe rhino mix. So we go back up to the Aranea. Does it say how they eat? Front limbs, they live in dense forests, part of the roofs. They are traditional enemies of the Phantom and will attack them on sight. They are friendly with bugbears and have a higher than the guard the floors. They're forced beneath their layers. Did we get bugbears on the list? Interestingly enough, bugbears aren't even on the list here, which is kind of interesting given that they actually use bugbears. So we might, if we get Aranea as an option, we might add bugbears into the mix there. So that doesn't say how they feed, but let's just say the hazard is a trap, right? And Aranean trap, pit trap. So we'll say it's a, and here we can make a thing. It's a spiked pit. This thing gets really, this editor with this plugin for Markdown is very finicky about the properness of what it allows. Okay, so we got a spiked pit trap, and you know, I'm not gonna get in the weeds on the damage and stuff, whatever. Covered by a thin net of webbing covered in leaf litter. All right, so, or maybe it shouldn't be a pit trap, right? Maybe it's just maybe not, sorry, not spiked, because I guess the spiders, if they're like spiders, they want to They don't want you to bleed out. They just want you to fall in there. So we'll call it a 15-foot pit trap covered by a thin net of webbing concealed in leaf litter. And you can add your own mechanics on top of it. But there we go. And this is what they would use for hunting. Maybe they have the bugbears come fish them out to bring back like that. Or maybe they come and web them up themselves. They'll come and check them out. Right? So we have some options there. And we can even, and if you want to, we can even mention. So let's just say for these Aranea, yeah, they have some the bugbears come. So there's a 2 in 6 chance during the day that the trap is checked by a bugbear patrol from the Aranean settlement. Okay, so if we want to put that in, we can. All right. So they come periodically to check to see if anything's fallen in. All right. Or at least there's a chance that they do. I'm sure, and that, there might be multiples of these. And now we're on to number 4. Crunchy frog. So let's roll our 3 dice again. I got a 6, 1, and a 3. So 6 means nothing. A 1 means there's a resource. We don't care about the layer. So what kind of resource could be here? So maybe we'll go back to my other table here. Let's roll to see what the feature is. And we could roll for the feature anyway. If we wanted to roll for where this pit trap is, like we could, you can use whatever other tools you want to flesh out that that particular area. I'm trying to go for the most kind of important, the kind of key part of it first, right? But we could use features and we could do different things if you wanted to situate it, have it give it more of a place, right? In any case, so for this feature, let's roll. We got a D6 here. I got 2, so it's a rising or falling land. And then I'll roll another one. Got a 6, so there's a pit or crater. So we'll say it's a, I don't know, is a crater, some kind of, yeah, I guess we'll call it like a crater. A water-filled crater, water-filled pit, water-filled depression. The water is exceptionally clear. Let's see. I'll just add something like when the sun shines upon it, drinking of these waters heals 1d6 hit points once per day. Okay, so here we got something. So water-filled depression, the water's exceptionally clear. When the sun shines upon the pool, drinking of these waters heals 1d6 hit points once per day. So it's another good resource, right? Something we know. But we know it doesn't have to be that. It could be some flowers, it could be an herb, could be shelter, whatever. Right? And we can, of course, if I'd rolled something different, so I got that depression, so I just thought of the water, but it could have been a depression filled with flowers. It could have been if we got a hill, maybe it was a hill with something on top. These things can be whatever you want them to be. All right, so we already have the Aranea settlement, so we can go straight to number 6. We'll roll some more dice. I got a 1, a 4, and a 2. So a 1. So we got a creature, a resource, and a hazard. And a 2, no layer. So a creature, a resource, and a hazard. All right, so creature, resource. I'm just going to put a creature, resource, hazard. All right, so the creature, Let's roll to see what we get here. I got a 61. So the creature is... Oh yeah, I gotta go let me zoom all the way back to that map. Or sorry, that table. Mr. Rourke wants to know how's the Zillow listing. Yeah, I don't, not too many takers. So 61 on this table gets us Phanatons. Okay, so we have Phanatons. We don't know what the resource is yet, but the hazard, we were just talking about these pit traps. So maybe some Phanatons got stuck in the pit trap. So let's figure out let's get some of that feature. What kind of feature do we have here? And we can then figure that out. We got, oops, see that? For a structure. Okay. Well, what sort of structures do we have? 5 is a shack. Interesting. All right. So we get a nice situation here. Okay. So we have a shack. I don't think the Araneas have a shack, right? But the bugbears might have a shack. We know the Phanatons, or we know, maybe you don't know, but if we come back up here to our map, the Phanatons, their main settlement is here. There are obviously some around here, but presumably maybe these are, I mean, I'm guessing they're mutually antagonistic. I don't know if it says that the Phanatons will kill Aranea on sight, but certainly the Aranea do not like the Phanatons. So presumably, though, those mountains are no joke. It's not like I don't know how easy it is to get across this mountain range, but I'm going to assume that's not the Phanatons' shack, or maybe it is. Maybe it is, but I'm going to say no, it's not, because literally I mean, unfortunately, this is part of the thing where the size of these hexes makes the distances misleading, because basically we're here and you think like, oh my gosh, it's a hex next door. But then you think about, depending on where in the hex these things are, they could be multiple miles apart. So not necessarily particularly close, all things considered. But we'll say that that it's like a bugbear observation post. But no one's there right now. Right. So we have so we'll talk about Phanatons trapped. A Phanaton is trapped in a sprung pit. The webbing prevents it from climbing out. A second Phanaton struggles to rescue them. Nearby is a bugbear observation post. We'll say there's a 3 in 6 chance a bugbear, I don't know, scout is napping inside. Oblivious to the Phanatons. Until oblivious, I'll just say oblivious until a loud noise is made. All right, so here we have a Phanaton trapped in a sprung pit. The webbing, I guess, wrapped around it. Webbing wrapped around it prevents it from climbing out. A second Phanatons struggles to rescue them. Nearby is a bugbear observation post. 3 in 6 chance a bugbear scout is napping inside, oblivious until a loud noise is made. So then we have a nice little situation. We got a couple of different things. What does the bugbear do if you wake him up? What do you do? got a lot of things there. So that's we're already trucking along here. This is number 7, so we'll roll again. All right, I got a sneeze coming on. Do I? Don't I? Pretty sure I do. Oh, see, I got 3, 3, 4. So 3, 3, 4, a hazard. Okay, we got the full trifecta again. A hazard, a resource, and a creature. I'm just gonna put there. So what might the hazard be? So let's roll for the creature. 59. 59 gives us a Neanderthal. So the creature is a. I was gonna put caveman, but I'll just put Neanderthal. Neanderthal. We don't know what the resource is yet. We'll have to figure out the hazard. Let's get a feature to see what we got. Number 6, roll twice and combine. So I've got 4 and 3, a structure and a vegetation or creatures. So what's the structure? 6, a homestead. And what are the creatures? Or sorry, the vegetation or creatures, large prey. All right, homestead, large prey. Homestead with large prey. Maybe the resources could be shelter and food. So I'm just gonna make an executive decision and say this is a Neanderthal dwelling, and they keep. What might they keep for? As a what might they keep for? Like I'm thinking they might have an animal on a leash or a some kind of livestock. I'm just trying to go down. Any new creatures? Can we, since we're dealing with cavemen types, can we get some kind of fun kind of what would be a good sort of prehistoric cow kind of thing? Let's see if there's anything good down here. All right, let's see. Not Ankylosaurus, not the Aranea. Brontosaurus, Allosaurus, no. No, not Dimetrodon. Oh, giant elk, maybe? Or Copru? No. The Gangary or Grangary? I don't know. What else we got? Anything else? Plesiosaurus, no. Phanatons, no. Swordbeaks, no. Trachodons? Duck-billed dinosaurs? Seems like they oh no, they're not riding on those. A Trachodon is a duck-billed dinosaur. Beast runs erect its hind legs. Dinosaur only eats plants, may be dangerous to engage. No, it doesn't seem good. Plesiosaurus too big. No. I suppose it could be a Megatherium. All right. Yep. A cave. A family of Neanderthals live in a cave on the side of a hill overlooking a secluded vale. Tied to a rope that is secured to a large tree is a Megatherium. So the resource here, I'm going to say it's implied that it could be a shelter, maybe food. I think that's fine. Because remember, all this stuff we're doing, it's all inspirational. I don't care, and you should not care either, about holding to something like, oh, I rolled this, so I got to stick to it. It's like it's all there to trigger stuff for you, right? It's not. These are nothing in and of themselves. All right. Let's do another one. I got 1, 2, 2, 1, a creature, 2, a resource. No, it's not the lair. All right, so we got a creature and a resource. So the creature, I gotta zoom back up here again. Whoop. There we go. Oh, my camera went off again. What is going on with this camera? Croco must have left. He didn't warn me. Quit doing that. Oh, my goodness. This is highly, highly annoying. Okay. Okay. So we got a creature, we got a resource. Let's roll for the creature. Keep getting the same thing. I'm going to switch around. 76. 76 is a rock. All right. Well, so what is the rock doing? We have a rock. Now, rocks live in the mountains, right? So, we did have a resource. So maybe I'm going to roll for another creature that's dying. I don't know if rocks are scavengers, how they operate, but let's just see what we get. So I rolled 43. So I'm going to look at 43 and 34. So 43 is Lizard Man. 34 is a Hydra. Oh, so maybe okay, here we go. Yep. Rotting Hydra. All right. A 5-headed Hydra lays here. A rock circles high overhead. It will descend in 1d3 turns to claim this meal. All right. A rock disguised as a rock. Yeah, that would be good. All right. So there you go. A 5-headed Hydra, a dead, or the corpse. Split out in an open. The running corpse of a 5-headed Hydra splays out in an open glade. A rock circles high overhead. It will descend to claim this meal in 1d3 turns, or maybe just to feed. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's see. I can do maybe one more before we're. Let's see. I think I got room for at least one more before we're done. I mean, I think the idea here is, it's kind of like I'm. Hopefully, I'm demonstrating the method, and then the rest of it is just going through and putting in the work. That's the thing. Like, if you want this stuff, you do have to kind of put in the work. You could put in the work improving it. You could put in the work prepping it. You could put in the work some kind of combination. You can easily roll a bunch of this stuff up beforehand, but then you could leave it in the moment to put the pieces together, or you can come up with a whole little scene scenario and show up in the, you can really, it's really about what's going to work for you, what's going to help you when you're running this the most. So this one, I got 2, 5, and 1. So there is a creature, nothing else, and it's not the lair. So it's just a critter. We can roll now for the critter. keep getting 60. What's 6? Get something different. 6 is a cave bear. All right. It's not the lair. So let's get some more context here. So we have a cave bear. So now let's get a feature. What about is this cave bear hanging out? I got 4, which is a structure again. I got a 4 again. So what is the structure? Shelter, some kind of shelter. All right, so it's a cave. So I guess I'm just going to make the executive decision that this is the cave bear lair. Or actually, no. Here we go. Actually, no. I'll do this. Oh, this will be good. So we're going to do the cave bear, but we're going to do this cave bear lair. Okay. A shelf of stone on a not shelf stone. A dark opening between 2 I don't know, boulders. A dead cave bear. Yeah, so here's what I'm gonna do, because it's gonna be basically that there was there was essentially like a maybe one cave bear is now taking over the lair of another cave bear. Dead a recently killed, or actually I don't know, like 2. I don't know how to write. I don't know how I write this. 2 gave in the cave mouth, the bloody carcass of an old cave bear lies crumpled on the stony ground within the cave. Let's see, what do we call it? A younger cave bear at the height of its prowess sniffs and snuffles about its new home. Okay, so here we go. A cave rivalry, says Rocco. Exactly. So a dark opening between 2 boulders in the cave mouth. Or I'll just call it the cave bear cave, the bear cave, bear cave. A dark opening between 2 boulders in the cave mouth. The bloody carcass of an old cave bear lies crumpled on the stony ground. Within the cave, a younger cave bear, at the height of its prowess, sniffs and snuffles about its new home. So I think that tells you pretty much everything you need to know, right? There were 2 cave bears. 2 cave bears entered, 1 cave bear left, and then and then there was 1. And so this is where you're kind of coming on the scene, right? And of course you can embellish these, but right now, so we just did about an hour. Okay, let's look about an hour. But some of that hour was just me rambling on. Some of the hour was basically me just quickly putting together this little method. And there are other, like I said, there's tons of these methods, but it really doesn't take too much just to come up with one you like and go with it, right? And then kind of fiddle faffing about. I think probably if I'd had everything set, if I'd been more organized and done this stuff ahead of time, I probably could have done most of these 18 in an hour, maybe a little bit more than an hour. It probably depends, and depends a little bit on how inspiring you are, if your imagination's flowing or not. I think, we can come back and come to some of these, for here, maybe this stream, I want to roll for a secondary feature as to kind of what else is going on with the stream. Is there anything interesting about it? What's the Megatherium doing? It's not the lair. It's just, is it feeding? You can, some of that I like to kind of leave up to just in the moment how I feel. We didn't get into things like coming up with an atmosphere, but you could, or a theme, but you could definitely, maybe you want to look at, well, what is this? What's going on in this forest? Like the theme could be something like emotional. It could be like love, fear. Like what is that vibe you get, right? Oh, it's too quiet here. Well, what's going on? Is there, if you're going into the forest of the necromancer, that vibe that like, oh my gosh, it's kind of too still. It feels oppressive to you. It's not that something literally is pushing down you, but you feel that energy. Like, what is that energy like? Is there energy in this place that you can feed off? Is there some other kind of, what's the season? Is it spring? Is it summer? Is it fall? That might help with setting the stage, right? And this stuff, like I said, in my document, I was talking in terms of describing as you're traveling through a hex, but it also applies to when you're doing these hex fills. So you can think about that. Well, what kind of vibe is going on in this jungle, this particular jungle? You've got these spiders that I presume are pretty much at the top of the food chain, but not necessarily, because the potential other things that are living in here are 3 different kinds of dragons, hydras. There's a bunch of stuff going on. So who knows? Rakshasa. There's a few new kids on the block. So who really is the king or queen, the royalty of this realm? I don't know. And this is where you could think about it. And yeah, and something like the Isle of Dread doesn't give that to you. They're dumping stuff in here, and they really just have this one place, and then everything else is wandering creature checks, if anything. But if you feel the need to fill this up, if you want to fill in these things, it doesn't take that much. Now, if you're going to do the whole Isle of Dread, right, then yeah, that's some work. I mean, there's a lot going on. Like, I probably wouldn't do this whole thing except at need, or, but you can kind of stay ahead of the party somewhat, but then you figure out where your party is. And then maybe you just do 36. Do 36 hexes and kind of, which gives it surrounding direction. You won't nail everything, but you'll get most of it. And then part of it's going to come down to, well, what does your party interact with? We wrote down a whole bunch of stuff. The party could spend the whole night, how long your session is, dealing with any 1 or 2 of those things if they're interested enough, or they just nope out right away. And there's just no way of knowing. It's a little, dungeons are kind of like that too. If you have a dungeon, you have all these rooms, all kinds of stuff in it, and one party could be in the first room for 2 hours, just fiddling with this, fiddling with that. And the next party comes in, they take one look inside the room, and they nope, and they're out. So how much you need, how much you want to prep, it's what you feel comfortable with. But I think hopefully what I hoped I at least demonstrated is in fairly short order, so not including the settlement, we went through and just did 8 hexes, and I think they're not uninteresting. We got the giant sloth. We can go, like I said, we can go back and flesh that out a little bit. We have a stream, which is useful running, like maybe if it's clean water, we might, you could roll a die or whatever, figure out if it's clean or if it's drinkable, potable, or at least it gives them a way to get to the shore if they want to, potentially up into the mountains, maybe if they want to. You got the pit trap, which is kind of a fun thing, but it tells you a bit about the Aranea. It kind of introduces them a little bit depending on what happens, and the bugbears and that kind of thing. You've got this healing waters here. We have the Aranea settlement, which is from the manual. We got the actual module. We have some Phanatons, a good way to introduce the whole Phanaton Aranea rivalry faction thing, if you will. We've got the Neanderthal dwelling, which is could be a useful resource for the party. We've got the Hydra body. You got this rotting Hydra nearby. Maybe some enterprising party would think, hey, there must be a lair nearby. You could put a note in there about, hey, roll. There's a Hydra. One of the hexes wherever near is a Hydra is the lair, which could have stuff in it, right? Of course, there's the rock coming down to claim it. Depending on the timing and what's going on, they come and claim it. We've got the bear cave, the old bear, the new bear. So there might be some loot in there from the old bear, but then of course we have a new bear in there. If you want to say that bear's wounded or whatnot, you could fill that out. I just didn't over here, but a lot of things we do, and we were able to cash this out pretty quickly. So once you kind of develop your own methodology or use somebody else's methodology or just roll some dice or just make some decisions, you can key some stuff up fairly quickly. Mr. Work says the captain is coming back. He gave his word. Yeah, something like that. The infamous on foot pirates. Yeah. So right. So you can, and that's the other thing you can do. So we have these. We basically used only Wandering Monster Table 2. There are 3 here in the Isle of Dread, which I think is somewhat unusual. I don't remember seeing this a bunch. Someone can correct me if a bunch of modules had this particular layout. Oftentimes, you probably just have one, or you can use some of your books. You can definitely pull stuff from different areas, right? I know there are pirates. Where the pirates are, I think are they down? Are they over here? I don't remember exactly where the pirates are. There are pirates. I don't know if the pirates are going to be coming in all the way 30, however many miles, 12 miles inland for any reason, but there could be a reason. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not going to say, but you could definitely add them in. I think as you're getting stories, you're building up stories. As you're building up stories, then what'll happen is you'll get these things that will naturally then lead to, oh, I should add pirates in here because the pirates are doing this thing. All right. And if we had ongoing stories, if we had ongoing elements in the Isle of Dread, or even just in the planning stages, like, oh, when I run the Isle of Dread, I'm going to have a pirates do this, or I want to tie the pirates to this other thing like that, then that will naturally make sense. Okay, if the pirates have something to do up here, then yeah, then you should put the pirates in there. Or maybe they avoid this. I mean, goodness knows, it doesn't seem like a very inviting spot. You've got giant spellcasting spiders and whatnot, and you're hearing this little, I don't know if this is just a great big valley or just a huge, that this is essentially like you have mountains and it just goes right into these lowlands potentially. So it could be that these are all kind of mountainous and there's all these little valleys, things like in New Guinea kind of thing, or does it's just these slopes that just shut down maybe in, they don't have it in here, but is it just cliffs or terraces and escarpments and just really quick, and then you have this jungle that's kind of isolated from everything else. These are things you get to figure out whatever makes sense to you, whatever opens up the most possibilities for you. But I hope this is helpful to someone. But you get this methodology, rinse, repeat, and then I always find that you get stories that will just kind of come out of the woodwork. You'll be rolling up stuff. We kind of got some little stories here. We got these Aranean traps. And then we got Phantoms being trapped. We introduced the whole bugbears working for the Aranea. That's another angle the party could use if they speak bugbear and they can figure out something else, right? You got all kinds of things going on. Then you can start weaving those together. Well, did the Aranea, did they know about the Neanderthals? Did they have some kind of uneasy peace with the Neanderthals? Maybe the bugbears and the Neanderthals have an uneasy peace, or do they hate each other? What's going on there? Who killed the Hydra or what killed the Hydra? We don't know. You could figure all this stuff in, add it in, keep rolling, and then you'll see all these things will just kind of pop up, and then you have a whole bunch of encounters. Kroger says, how about a new Wandering Monster Table for each hex? I mean, you could. I mean, that would be the next thing, is I think once so in terms of the Wandering Monster Tables, that would be kind of my last thing. So yeah, so getting to this point, which I'm not going to have a chance to cover because I'm not going to do the whole thing, is what I would do is once I've got all this done, I would take the monsters that we've already established are here. I would add some more, and then maybe I would make a D6 table, or D6 or 2D6, something like that. And then I can refill it from these bigger tables once I start crossing stuff off. So you can have a really simple D6 table, and then when things are met and dealt with, you can cross them off, and you can roll for this bigger table. And that way you have something smaller to work with, and you can just keep drawing off of the main table, or you can just roll on the main table. You can do the calculating of, so Krako says, guess you could calculate wandering monsters based on layer proximity. You could. I wouldn't bother. I don't think that stuff will become noticeable in play, to be honest. So yes, you could. You absolutely could. And what Wolves on the Coast or Wolves Upon the Coast has that thing where it'll say, hey, if you're within within a hex or two of this hex, you'll get these guys. If not something else or nothing, you could do that. I don't think it makes a big deal. I don't think you'll really notice it in play. But you could absolutely have stuff like that. Like, hey, if you're near 14, then you're most likely, you're going to get Araneas. If you're away from it, you're not, right? You're going to get bugbears. That might be a good note, right? The Araneas seem to be kind of above doing a lot of menial stuff. So maybe they don't really leave their lair that much unless they're going to kill Phanatons. And if they're not going to kill Phanatons, they're staying at home. So you might say, hey, if you rolled up Aranea and if you're outside that hex keyed 14, then there's a 5 and a 6 chance you're actually getting their bugbear they're bugbear lackeys instead. Could be a great way to put it. But on the 1 in 6 chance you are getting Areneas, and maybe they're out like as some kind of war party going out to kill Phanatons or look for the Phanatons that maybe are here in the area, whatever. You can figure that out. So you can have a lot of fun with that. But that would be like maybe my last step. Definitely not necessary. You can definitely add to things, but I wouldn't. You want to pick your battles, right? You want to, that's kind of the thing with the prep, right? You want to pick your prep. Pick your prep to do the things you really want it to do. So if what your priority is, prep that. If your priority is not so much on the hex keys, but you want to have a lot of intricacies with your encounters, then prep that part. Or prep the keys. And of course you can do both. Just, do you have time to do stuff? If you got the time, then do it all. All right, folks. Have a great rest of this week between the oh my gosh, the stupid camera's gone off again. Oh, unbelievable. All right. Before it makes me madder than mad, the camera. Hi. Have a great in this post Christmas or I guess leading up to New Year's Eve and day week. I don't know. I wasn't expecting that I would be able to stream this week. Just so happened I got some time today. So don't count on me for anything for the rest of the week. But if I have a chance to stream, I might try to. I got some stuff to do. So maybe if I can work on it, I will. But yeah, just have a great rest of your week or your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Whew. Sorry about the camera issues. Game on, everybody. And I'll talk to you later. Bye now.